Hi all, this is Mohamed Adam. I'm joined today by one of the most influential leaders in the Egyptian startup ecosystem, Mohamed Aboulnaga Nagaty. For those of you who don't know, and I doubt that there are many of you, Nagaty was the regional director at Careem, the co-founder of Egyptian unicorn MNT-Halan, and he is now the global CEO of Exits MENA. How are you doing today?
How are you, Mohammed? How is everything?
I'm all good, thank you. So given that you are leading Exits MENA, what are some of the most common trends you came across regarding exits? What are the most common exit strategies for investors in the region, and why do they prefer them?
First of all, the dryness of the funding in the region lately, especially in Egypt, led to a lot of mergers and acquisitions and consolidations of tech startups, mainly to replace the funding. So a lot of startups have been suffering to raise money due to many things I'm sure we're all aware of. So a lot went to selling either the whole of the company, part of the company, or a big chunk of the company for a strategic player that can fund the rest of the story, or merge with another entity to become a consolidated state for the rest of the journey.
There was a recent Magnet report that highlighted the venture investment in the first half of 2023. The UAE led that exit activity in the first half. In your opinion, why do Egyptian startups lag behind, and what do they need to get ahead?
I think it's the problem is in the education. Like there is a barrier to an ideological barrier of selling the startup, which is, in my humble opinion, wrong, because all the investors that are putting money in the startups, at the end, they want to cash out. And there are very limited ways to cash out. We all don't know them, either an IPO, a merger, an acquisition, or selling a secondary stake. So a lot of Egyptian startups perceive exiting or selling their startup as a failure. And in my humble opinion, this is wrong. It's a success, especially when you return good returns to your investors. So I think the main thing is education. The second one is perception. There is not the best perception now on Egyptian startups. Let me be as diplomatic as I can. So this is a barrier to entry, because whenever people are putting money in, they are afraid of changes in currency, changes in the model's valuations. So both the education of the entrepreneurs themselves and the perception on the Egyptian market are slowing it a bit down, but we're still doing some good work.
As an investor yourself, what do startups that attract you look like?
We invest in people. I personally invest in people. I never look at a pitch deck, personally. I never look at business plans. I sit with the founders. The founders are good. They came from good companies that allows them to know what to do, what not to do. I put money behind those people. So, and if there's a problem, the good people will know how to pivot. If there is a dryness in funding, they will bootstrap. If there is an increase in funding, they will grow more. So at the people, the person on the steering wheel, the co-pilot, the person sitting in the back, the guy fixing the engine, the lady working in the people team, the first team, regardless of who's doing what, are the most important thing in this. And also the balance, the gender balance is very important to me, and how the startup looks at every aspect of growth and of making profit.
Okay, so Helen bagged around $260 million in funding in February, marking one of the top 3 deals of the year to date. As a co-founder of the company, what makes Helen so unique, and what can other startups learn from it?
I've been a bit away from Helen. Like, I was a co-founder in the early days. Now it's a much bigger company, so my answer will be a bit generic, but I think the phygital approach, which is the mix of physical and digital, having branches everywhere and physical personal contact with the digital app, that led to being extremely profitable, extremely defensible, extremely close to the consumers, and serving the underserved by providing a lot of services. And of course, the great management and leadership that was running and is currently running the company.
So linked to the previous question, what should MENA startups aim to be or have in order to attract investment, given that money is now expensive?
I'll quote one of my mentors who told me, the people riding in the bus decide where the bus will go. So you have to choose the best investors to ride in the bus, the best team to ride in the bus, the best users, or the users that you can make profit from and to give them real service to ride the bus, and then start fixing a real need and making sure you are on a pathway to profitability. So whenever funding dries up, you can just pull some levers and make more profit and keep on going.
Great advice. So what are your thoughts on the future of the startup ecosystem, especially in Egypt, but I want to shed light on the MENA in general?
In my humble opinion, the Saudi ecosystem is like a rocket that's moving up and pulling up the Middle East with it. So this is how I'm seeing it. Like, if a very nice shop opens in a street, people will start to come to the street. So a very nice shop is opening in the Middle East, and it's the new Saudi economy. So a lot of investors are coming, a lot of entrepreneurs are moving in. Ronaldo is playing there, and it's becoming the hub of the world. So all the Middle East should benefit from this. In Egypt, I think it's extremely good on the long term, very tough on the medium term, nearly impossible on the short term.
Could you please elaborate more on that? That sounds wise.
The short term of startups in Egypt is very hard because of the macro and microeconomics. So it's very hard, nearly impossible to raise money, fresh cash on a startup now in Egypt, except for low tickets on an early stage, very big money on a very profitable scale up, which it's not a startup anymore, an IPO startup that's liquid. But the growth stage startups, I think it's nearly impossible to raise money till the end of the year. Very, very hard. Of course, there are some outliers, 1 or 2, but 99% will fail to raise money. On the medium term, whoever was able to continue and has some runway to continue will take the market share of those who fell down. On the long term, I think we will have 7 to 10 unicorns coming out from Egypt in the next 3 years, in my humble opinion.
Thank you so much for being here, Nagaty.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mohammed. See you soon. Thank you. Bye.